What's good, YouTube? Just a casual nerd here, back again with another video. And today we're going to give a review of the movie called 3000 Years of Longing. It just came out about a week ago. A movie directed by George Miller and also starring Idris Elba as well as Tilda Swinton as the main characters. Now, this movie flew under the radar of probably a lot of moviegoers. It doesn't seem like it had a ton of advertising. I just honestly happened to see the trailer in passing a couple months ago and happened to see it one more time and remember it was coming out. And since this is a review, if you haven't watched the film, do expect some spoilers. And if you did get a chance to see the film, I will be going over some of the plot details, but not too much, not too in depth. I just want to basically hit the points, what I think about it. But I will probably need some of the actual plots to do that. All right, so let's get right into it with my thoughts on the film. In general, I thought it was a okay film. I don't think it was great. I don't think it was bad either. It kind of just, for me personally, it falls in the middle. I definitely want to see it because I really like George Miller's his Mad Max Fury Road film. So I know this is nothing like that film at all. But I do, see that he's a good director. So I want to see what he brought to the table with this film. If you haven't seen the film, I would say if you're going to see it, I would maybe see it during matinee. Like I said, I don't think it was great. I really think the message was great. It was more so about desire, what kind of the heart desires. And I think at the end of the day, it was really saying that no one really kind of belongs to us at the end of the day. Some people may take away from it, things about love, because that part was in it. The love story that between the Jin and the human, so that part was in it, but I think it was more so about what someone desires, what we all each as an individual desires, and that no one at the end of the day like belongs or is owned by anyone. We just get to experience them for a set amount of time before moving on. And now the way they did this was they set it in modern times, but the story that was being told, mainly from Jin's point of view, Idris Elba's character, was told through these thousands of years. He spent time in the bottle, then out the bottle, and why he had to go in the bottle in certain instances, as well as what happened when he was out the bottle. And there were certain wishes that he told her that she could not make, but he was able to explain it through these stories. So it was very heavy-handed in the storytelling aspect. So the main thing was the whole thing was really about telling the story, because the main character, our human character, Alithia, she was a part of the narrator. She was the first narrator, and she was writing something, and she said she was going to be telling the story. And then after that, Jin, he told a majority of the story. Now I would say his part of the story, which I did find interesting because it took some historical elements through those thousands of years, but I honestly would have liked it if it took up a little bit less of the screen time. Like, it was cool to see, but around like 50%, or when I was 60% into the film, I was really more so ready to find out what our main character's wish was. Alithia, I believe her name was. I really want to see what her wish was going to be, because her character's set up to be very independent, very content, but almost kind of was showing us that even when someone is very content, there may be still something that they still desire. And it seemed like for her it was still a companionship, because the first wish that she gave was for Jin to love her, for them to be in love essentially. So I thought that was I thought that was interesting, but for as a story wise, for as plot wise, I felt like I want to kind of get to that point a little sooner. It was a little bit weird that was her wish, since we didn't really see their relationship as much, since most of the time they were spent in that hotel room. Like 75% of the film, they were just, Jen was just telling the stories through the hotel room. But at the same time, her wish did make sense, because most of his stories were about desire and about companionship. So I guess in essence, her wish did make sense. It was just kind of, I was waiting so long to kind of get to that point. It was just like, oh, okay, well, that's a wish. All right, well, I guess that's okay. But I mean, in hindsight, it does make sense, given his stories and everything that he was telling. I do think the trailer was a little bit deceptive in the what was the fantastical part, and then the whole thing obviously is fantastical because you have someone who can grant wishes. But I think it seemed like with the trailers it was gonna be a little bit more of a kind of fantasy deal or more of an adventurous thing, which I'm okay with it subverting expectations. But you should know that if you were basing it off the trailer. So in a way, I don't think the trailer does it justice, but I think what we got is not necessarily bad in essence. It was just different. Again, I think the message at the end of the day was great. I think it was more so the execution. I think maybe if they would spend a little bit less time dealing with Idris Elba's character or Jin's his stories, which they were good in its own right because it was historical things. But if we would maybe make that 50% of it and then follow our main character, or well, they're not really main. They're both main characters in essence. But if we would follow Alithia's character and kind of saw more what she had going on internally, I think that would have made the wishes a little bit more impactful and the ending with their relationship dissipating a little bit more impactful to the story. Because even though I think the ending is decent, it's a good ending, but I feel like with everything that unfolded, it should have hit a little harder. It should have hit home some more, but I don't think it did due to the fact that we didn't spend enough time with these two characters individually together. Now I know some of you are going to argue, well, they was in the hotel room, them two alone most of the time, which yes, that's fair, but most of what we actually saw on screen was the other stories, or what took up majority of it, where it felt what at least felt like took up majority of it was the other stories. And we didn't really get to spend too much actual story plot things going on with them to actually form a connection, which I guess in a way she did learn that lesson because she came to a realization that she can't wish for love. It has something that has to be nurtured, has something that has to be that the other person's choice, so it was never going to work out at the end anyway. So that's why I kind of felt like that part was good. It's just that good part, or that lesson that was learned, happened a little bit too quickly after the wish was made. If she made a wish a little earlier, like they did his backstory and all that, and then that's the wish she decided to settle on, and there would have been a little bit more time in between the wish and her learning the lesson, I thought that would have made a better, it made the ending come all together a little better. And even though the movie itself I think is an hour, 50 minutes, somewhere around there, it did feel a lot longer due to the fact that it had these different plot threads going on, and due to the fact that it all had to come together at the end for this lesson. So again, I think they would have maximized the time allotted by just changing up or shortening up some scenes so they can give them a little more time to develop. But I thought it was still cool that they called out the cautionary tales of having a genie who can grant wishes, about the dangers of it. So I think they did that not only through the different stories of Jin, but also through Alithia's her own introspection of why she was cautious to even make a wish in the first place. So I thought they did a pretty good job with that, of it not being just a simple rubber bottle or rubber lamp and the genie comes out and you get these three wishes or whatever you want. But I think they did a really good job of delving into what does someone actually desire, or what should you desire, and our desire sometimes selfish. So I thought they did a really good job with that aspect of it. Like I said, some of the execution made it kind of drop down a little bit more for me, even though it was an hour and 50 minutes. When it was about 60% done, I kind of was ready for it to get to the next thing, the next big thing with the main two characters, or what was going to happen between them. But if you do watch it, I don't think you'll come away not liking the film. It's not something that I'm, rushing to tell my friends about, but it was a nice little film for, Sunday morning to, watch and enjoy. I may not recommend you pay full price for it necessarily in the theaters. So I was like, catch a matinee or whenever it comes on streaming. But I can definitely appreciate a studio bringing a movie to theaters that's not, this big budget ensemble. It was something that was a little bit different than what I've seen going to theaters these past couple months. So I definitely still appreciate that. And I definitely still want more unique films to come out. Like I said, I may have not thought this one was necessarily the best, but I do like that it was something a little bit unique and a little bit a different spin on a tale that we've heard through many other stories. But what are you listening to me for anyway? I'm a casual. Cue the outro.